Hello, everybody. I just had this idea yesterday, a few days ago, and I want to call it band to band, which is like trying to get other bands that I know or people one man bands and just do interviews, 5 questions, and just have some fun. So the Secret Weasels decided to take the plunge and be my first
Yeah,
first try at it. So here we are. So the
It
format's
doesn't
going to
better
be
to do. Oh, we're happy to be
yeah.
supportive, guys. Definitely.
The format's gonna be just, I guess I'll ask first, and you guys can
Sure.
comment on, I can comment on what you guys can answer, and I can comment, and then, then you guys can ask me, and back and forth. So that'll be it. So here we go.
good.
Uh, I guess introduce both of yourselves and tell us how you met, and how long you've been together, and how'd you come up with the name?
Well,
Um,
so I'm Matt Westerland, and that's my partner Tom Enroth in the Secret Weasels.
Hello.
And we met because I was in a previous band, and we were looking for a bass player. There was a Twin Cities local newspaper. I don't know if it still exists. The City Pages. I think it
I
does.
think it does.
It's got an
It's
online
sort of like you
presence.
guys in LA have the recycler. The City Pages is kind of like what the recycler used to be.
Yeah,
It would be
Yeah,
this.
I don't know if the recycler's around anymore, but that's how I got all my other bands
yeah,
way
yeah. There was
back.
just like a looking for band members section, and so we posted for a bass player, and that's how I met Tom.
Mm.
And then that band eventually fell apart, and
Yeah,
Matt and I decided to keep going, and we used to make a lot of decisions based on what would make us laugh, which sounds incredibly, and we still actually make a lot of decisions
pretty
based
much
on
so.
what. And one night we were coming. We had pages of band names. It's that old thing, right? We just wrote down everything that we could think of for a band name,
Yeah.
and we came up with the Secret Weasels. I think because both of us at the time were involved at our jobs with nefarious dealings. People were weaseling. They were trying. And we found that annoying. And then we can't. There's the album cover for the Replacements album, "Don't Tell a Soul," which is the guy kind of going like that. And we just thought that if we had an album called "Shh," and we were called the Secret Weasels, that would be the funniest thing. I guess if you're in your mid-20s, it's a lot funnier. So we just cackled like hyenas all night, and then the next morning we thought it was still funny, and then a couple of days later, it just seemed like the only, even though it was silly, it actually seemed like the only thing that worked.
It
You
stuck.
know, yeah. So
Eventually.
we just decided that was a good name. And we're not sure which one of us came up with it. Are we? Did we
No,
ever
I
figure
have
that
no
out?
idea.
No.
I have no
It's
idea.
one of those things where we were just throwing ideas around and we went, oh, Secret Weasels, great. Yeah, that's us. So yeah, that was
That's
pretty much
cool.
it.
I guess what do each of you play? I'm not even really sure.
Oh,
Anybody
Matt, you can go.
anybody's a drummer or a bass?
So I do most of the guitars, not all of them, but most of the guitars on the records and the keyboards, um, and the mixing, I guess, most of the mixing. And then Tom plays almost all of the bass. There's maybe a synth bass line on one or two songs, but everything
Yeah,
else is Tom on bass. And then we
and
share
then
the vocal duties.
yeah, and if I play guitar, Matt's a better guitar player than I am, but sometimes, as you probably know from playing, there are sort of some subtle timing things in the way that people play things. And sometimes the
Right.
way I'm playing something, Matt will go, no, I don't want to do that because the way you're syncopated isn't something I can easily replicate. And so that's kind of why it'll stay on the final version. It isn't down to quality or anything. He's
Mhm.
and it's the same with and then we throw other things like on this album. Matt learned how to play the trombone, so there's some trombone on it, and he played some accordion on it, and we both can muddle our way through the ukulele. He's better than I am. So there's ukulele on. Actually, there are 4 ukuleles, I think, on the tracks.
A little bit of mandolin.
And we can kind of pretend to play mandolin too. So there's a little mandolin. So we in a kind of Brian Jones like fashion learn how to use instruments other than what we're really good at to just bring out different textures. So we'll go, okay, let's try and figure out how to play the ukulele. All right, well, we'll put that in on something, you know.
Cool.
So that's kind of how that works. And then yeah, we write half the songs and sing half the songs, and it's presently it's kind of a Lennon McCartney thing where he sings his songs, I sing my songs, but you know that might change. If I wrote a country song, a pure kind of country song, for example, I'd probably have Matt sing it because I think he could do it more convincingly. You know, his vocal range is better suited to that.
Right. All right. Your turn.
Oh yeah. You want to ask him, Matt? You go.
Yeah, I'm curious about This Side of Anarchy and just being a one-man band and what that's like for you and how you got there from being in bands with others previously and sort of your recording and that whole process, what that looks like.
It just, I was in bands since like 81 to 99, various bands. And then I had my second child and we just got sick of the whole scene, just the same old deal at some house party somewhere, and of course the cops came, broke it up, and it just, they kind of were like, all right, we've done this for almost 20 years, we're all done. I think our drummer said it first, he was just like, I'm out of here, no.
Yeah.
Then we're just all like, yeah, you know, my second son was just born, and my wife needed help, and I needed a break, and I took a few years as a break, and then I wanted to kind of expand too, because the punk was a little bit limiting. I wanted to put more parts into it. I was actually listening to more classical at that time, like Mozart and Haydn and Vivaldi and stuff.
Oh.
And it's kind of funny. You pull up to your punk practice listening to Mozart and Vivaldi.
Yeah.
It's like schizophrenic, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I got a digital piano, and I think I bought the Cakewalk Home Studio 2002 at the time.
Oh yeah, we used to use Cakewalk.
So we started with 2. We started with Cakewalk.
Yeah, and then I just started writing little stuff. I wrote some little harpsichord classical pieces and symphony-like pieces on the digital piano, and started experimenting, and then around it was like on and off for 5 to 7 years maybe, and then I finally got into really wanting to make music again, and I started writing. I was trying to figure out a name, and then when I was in the Air Force, we had the shift change, and my initials are DR, so I would, you know, I did this and this and, you know, DR, so then they start calling me Doc, you know, DR.
Oh, sure.
So, and then when I was in the other band, I was a few years older than the guys, and I was like the more responsible one. I took care of all the more business aspect and the stuff like that. So they started calling me Gramps. So I was Gramps. So I don't know. You know, the internet age was coming up and everything had a dot to it. So I just had this harebrained idea of putting Gramps and Doc together. So I put Gramps Doc.
Sure.
That was kind of the name that I came up with for that. And then I put an album out in like 2013 it's got everything from classical to punk. It's got a punk tune on it, it's got a classical tune, it's got some rock tunes, it's got like a synthesizer wild, weird tune, and it's got all kinds of tunes. So that's how I got started into just doing the one-man band thing, and I just keep working on the drums and upgrading software and learning mixing and all from YouTube videos and people's
Sure.
suggestions, and that's how I got to it.
Yeah. So you play
And
you play everything like on your most recent albums all yourself?
yeah, I play everything except the drums. I can't drum to nothing. My son played the drums for a while. He hasn't played them in a couple of years. They're sitting here in the corner. But I'm like,
Yeah.
he's like, that, I'm totally uncoordinated. It's like, so all my drums are MIDI.
Yeah.
I still use Cakewalk, but now it went through the BandLab. I think that's what it is. BandLab, I guess, bought it. I don't know if you heard the whole story with that, but because Gibson bought Cakewalk because I guess
That's right.
Gibson was going under, and they wanted it for like a something. You know how the business crap goes on.
Oh yeah. They wanted it as an asset. They could sell it off. The balance sheet.
And then they screwed everybody, saying, "Okay, you give us $150 and you have the software for a lifetime, forever. No more updates, no more everything." And within 6 months to a year, they just said, "Oh, we're done with it. we're gonna cancel it." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's like ridiculous. You just got my $100 for lifetime updates, and you cancel the program." I was like pissed off. So then I, knowing that Windows is going to update, and I was looking for new software, and I tried. There's so many out there, and you can't tell which one's good until you use it, and everybody's got their own opinion. This one's good, this one's good, this one sucks, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I decided to go with Studio One.
Yeah.
So I learned that for about a year, and I don't know. I ported all the settings, all the mixer settings, all the equivalent equipment, and everything from my Sonar setup, and it didn't sound right. I don't know what it was. It was just like it's like it wasn't there. I'm like, why is it? And I just kept messing with it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I ported everything I recorded in Studio One back to my old Sonar. I didn't change anything. I just took the audio files and put them back in the thing, and it was like boom. It was like so much bigger sound, so much fuller bass, so much. I can't explain it, but so I just downloaded the free BandLab by Cakewalk by BandLab, and which I wasn't sure about it because some Chinese company bought it, and BandLab was by itself before, and I wasn't sure if they're going to get all the files and if it was an online thing or BandLab is like some kind of a share. You write your music and it's completely online, and other people share it, and I'm like, well, I don't want people working on my music. But I'm like, but then I guess that's a separate thing. They're keeping Cakewalk. It's just as a standalone program, and they're keeping it updated. So I've been using that for a year or so. So that's what I've been using. And
cool.
To get to the long story, to get around your question about the drums, I basically use the Session Drummer 3 is what I use. It's all MIDI. They have it's awesome. They have MIDI. They have MIDI replications of actual drummers. You can see because they're a little off time and everything. So it's just snare drum and snare hit, and you just go through the list, see what. And I'll do that a lot of times. A lot of times I'll do the what do they call it? Right, it's just the thing where you can basically put your drum, bass snare, hi-hat every second one. and you can create it. Then you create your little two verse. I mean
To bar.
2 bar. There you go.
Hmm.
2 bar thing, and then you just drag it, and then, you got your verse.
It was a
So
loop.
that's it.
Yeah.
So just loop it. You just drag it over,
Oh, it
and
works. They sound good.
sometimes I'll find a hit. I'll find a little drum thing that's just about perfect, and then you can just say, all right, this kick I don't really want it there. I want it over, another quarter beat, and then add a cymbal here. You want different. You can kind of like customize it.
Yeah.
And the drum kit I use is, I believe they said they took John Bonham's kit from Led Zeppelin, and I guess they um, took it to the castle where they recorded one of their things, and it's basically
Grain.
professional. They took a tom drum and just went boom and recorded it, and you got your tom hit, and then the software kind of you can harder hit, softer hit, and and that's the thing about the MIDI drums. You got to really play with the volume, the MIDI volume, or how hard it hits.
Yeah. Just to get the dynamics
So
feeling.
it sounds It sounds really computerized if they're all like ba 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 ba. You got to take into account the human factor of your hits aren't going to be always the same.
Yeah.
So and then sometimes you just put them off time just a little bit, and then it just makes it sound more human. So I think I do a pretty good job with the drums. I know what I want it to sound like, and the drummer I really loved the drummer that when I was in Society Gone Mad. I kind of imagined his drumming or how he would drum it, and what kind of fills he would put in there, and listen to some old recordings and say what would go good here, and the previous my previous album and my other EP, I said I did send him some songs. I'm like, what kind of drum would you put in here? So he like said, try a train beat or try this or try that, and he would give me tips. And even today, sometimes my I'll have 2 different drum beats for a chorus or something, and then I'll play it for my son, and I'll go this one or this one. He's like, oh, do the other one, it's better. So.
Oh, so you do you do bump your ideas off people then. It's not
So
all.
I bounce ideas off of some people, but mostly just me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recorded my stuff with Studio One, so all my vocals and my bass was done with that, and some of the guitars. The other guitars that I have a Zoom R8 Porta Studio, and I did a lot of the guitars at my cabin on that. And then we built the drum tracks in, Matt has Logic Pro, and the drum algorithms in that, they'll automatically kind of do the thing that you're talking about where you can set the drums to follow the guitar or the bass. So if you swing the time a little bit, or if you're on the front of the beat, it'll react to that, and we've been really happy. It's funny because in a lot of ways it'll do some incredibly complicated things very simply, but it will have the hardest time doing some simple things. There's a song that I wrote on the new album called Strange But No Stranger, and there's a drum fill coming out of this sort of slower, it's not a slower, it's a dynamic kind of, we pull everything down. And there's a drum fill we wanted there. And what did it take us, Matt? 9 months off and on of messing with that to get that fill right?
A lot of times what we end up doing, that drummer algorithm is really good, and you can do a lot of adjustment in it to kind of get the sound you're looking for. But there's times like that one where it just won't, and so you can convert those into a MIDI section, and then you can do just like you were describing, go in and note by note, or flam by flam, or however you want it. Just build your own little fill or your own little section. So it's kind of a combination of the drums on our stuff of the drummer algorithms within Logic, and then we'll supplement it with MIDI and occasionally a drum machine, but usually that's kind of our approach. But yeah, that one's forever.
Cool.
So people who think that just because you're recording things digitally or you're using Cakewalk or you're using Studio One or Logic, that somehow you magically get music out of that, it's just such a fallacy, because it would have been easier to have an actual drummer come in and play the darn song. We would have gotten that in 2 takes, right? And had to splice them at some point. And this thing, we're going, I can't get this fill right. What is going on? We just want a simple, we just need Jim Keltner to do a friggin' Traveling Wilburys fill. That's all we need. It wasn't Rocket. It wasn't Neil Peart. We didn't need that. So, yeah, it's funny. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
But that costs money. You got to have a studio and all that stuff.
A million mics.
Pay the thing and all that. But yeah. All right. I guess my turn for the next question.
Yeah.
Tell us about the new album and what you got up coming next.
Oh, here it is. There we go. Back up. It's called Misophonia, and has 18 songs. We wanted to do something big, like a Queen album or Def Leppard's Hysteria or Abbey Road, Soundtrack of Our Lives, something big. And we sat down and when we were thinking about the songs, we looked at it and said, this is going to be 18 songs. This is big and self-indulgent. And then we said, well, we're going to be 50 this year, because we were recording it last year in 2019, and said, well, if at any time, 2 musicians can be annoyingly self-indulgent, it'll be for their 50th birthdays, right? So we just decided to go whole hog and structure it. It's gotten a good it's been out for a couple of days, right? It's gotten a good reception. I think we've sold as many copies on Bandcamp since Wednesday as we did of our first record, which is, that's not to say it's a lot of copies, but I'm happy, I'm happy with how it came out. Next steps see, Matt, this kind of gets to your how do you approach things differently thing. Matt tends to, and I don't mean to speak for him, but I will. Matt tends to record things as he gets ideas. He's in his little studio room in his basement. I'm in my bedroom. My little studio room is next door, in the bedroom next door. But he records things as he gets ideas, and so he's got bed tracks, I think, for 8 songs down. Yeah. And what I tend to do is, once we decide we're doing a project and we have a few preliminary discussions of what it's going to be, then I sit down and start writing songs and start coming up with that. But I'm always kind of noodling. I'm always thinking of chord progressions or working things out, but I don't formally record them until it's sort of time. So
yeah, that is start. I pretty much just record everything.
Yeah.
So I've got 8 things that have kind of become complete, and they're sort of songs now, but I probably got 30 or 40 other things that are just little scraps or ideas, but I record them because in the moment it feels good, and you think, well, this could become something, and occasionally you go back to those and pull them into a new thing. But when they kind of become fully formed, I'm like, well, that's a song, and I'll just move it into a different folder, and it's ready for the next Weasels project now. So
yeah, that's kind of the way I am, because I don't. Over the years, there's been millions of tunes that have gone up into the ether for me. It's just like, I'll play it, I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And you come back 30 minutes later, I'm like, what the hell did I play?
Exactly.
I have like no idea what the hell I played. I couldn't play that again if I tried.
Yeah.
So it's like now with everything, the phone or whatever is like, all right, I gotta get this down. And even sometimes, and I'm like, by the time I get my phone out and the software up to record and everything, I'm like, oh shit, what the hell was that again? I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't do that. I'm like, shit, that was it.
I should do that. I just don't. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. I just always figure, when it's time to write songs, then I will write songs. And when it's, I don't know. I have kind of, maybe I have a linear mind in that way, but I am working on things. It's not as if I don't pick up the guitar. I'm always working out chord progressions and different little things and harmonic things, but I kind of put them in the back of my mind, and then it all bubbles in my subconscious, and then it comes out when it's time to sit down and write the lyrics or write whatever, you know. So I guess in that way, Matt and I are very complementary in our workings. That we kind of have. I'm a little more maybe free form, top of my head. He's a little more studied, but he still brings that in. But we have aspects of those things in ourselves, and then it just works out really well. That probably didn't make any sense, but it keeps things fresh. I guess we try and keep things as fresh as possible, even though we record things piece by piece, you know. So yeah, we're happy with the record. You should be getting your copy on Monday, I think, Dennis. The things I sent out on Thursday, I sent yours out Friday. The things I sent out on Thursday got to everybody yesterday. So yeah, we sent. In fact, we sent out one. There's a guy named Dennis Moore. No, not Dennis Moore. That's a combination of your name and his. That's a combination of your two names. His name's David Moore. He has this show called Butterflies and Hurricanes, and he's out in California as well. And he got his copy yesterday. So I think you'll get yours on Monday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what? I listened to the record like twice, or the CD or album. What genre do you guys go by or think? It's pretty varied. I mean, it's pretty alternative. I mean, there's a punk tinge tune on there, and there was one that it wasn't like exactly, but it had the vibe of Midnight Oil. That was kind of, I thought that was a good tune, and it's just a lot of different stuff. So is it just like a general alternative kind of vibe, or it's just whatever the hell you feel like, or what?
Probably the best label for it is just sort of general alternative or alternative rock.
Yeah. I think with the first one, we intentionally, with a community of Weasels, we intentionally, without trying to seem like we were being scattershot or dilettantes, we kind of tried to touch on every area of influence that we have, you know, so that anything that we put out afterwards, for example, our second album, people wouldn't, and I'm speaking of this like there are thousands of people who care, but people wouldn't go, oh, they decided to do an electronica album. I always hate that when bands, you know, so, you know, whoever decided to do their alternative album or they decided to do their electronica album. I kind of saw us on the first one as doing as much as possible within those 13 or 12 songs, that anything we did afterwards and somebody would go, oh, okay, well, they're just exploring a different aspect. And yeah, I would say it's an indie alternative thing. I tend to go for, I like loud guitars, but not all the time. I like loud guitars, loud drums, and good melodies. And that's sort of what, you know, and our influences, you know, like Queen, right? You look at Queen and you go, well, Stone Cold Crazy, that's like a punk song, but You're My Best Friend is a Beatles pop song. So we look at bands like that and say, well, if Queen or the Beatles or Led Zeppelin or whoever is Soundtrack of Our Lives, any of those bands can work in multiple ways. We that's sort of us. We didn't really want to, and it's no disrespect to people who work in a genre. That's great, but we just didn't. It's just not us to say this isn't Secret Weasels. We can't do that. It's more okay. Well, what the hell? What the 7 people who buy the record aren't going to care. You know, they'll do what you did. They'll go, oh, I dig this, you know, this alternative vibe or this synth vibe on this song or whatever it is, you know, or the faster, louder songs, you know.
Definitely. All right, your next question.
Yeah. Okay, I want to know this, because your stuff is really serious, like the Chuck and Nancy song, which I dig. Do you ever kind of just cut loose and have fun? It it seems like it's very politically oriented and very thought through in that way. I mean, are you ever frivolous and just go, screw it, I'm just gonna have a good time and write about nothing?
Yeah, I do that, but in this age, I think they made everything political. So I mean, I just wrote a song. Even my wife likes it. That's amazing. She doesn't really like most of my music, but she's like, I like that.
Oh,
It's about bacon. It's called Bacon Time. You wake up and you want to make some bacon. But some idiot out there is going to say, oh, that's political, you're not supposed to eat meat or something.
oh.
So, I mean, they make political out of everything. And I guess I sort of do, but sort of don't. I get both sides. It can be made political, but the way I look at it is it's just I want to be left alone. I want to live my life how I want to live it and not to have the government tell me I can't use a bag or a straw I mean, it just annoys me.
Yeah.
And all my stuff's usually just about stuff like that. It's just, and another one of my new ones coming up is about it's called Give Me Some. It's about all the times through all the years I've gotten a raise, and it's like maybe $100 a month or something. You're like, oh yeah, $100 a month, and I see $20 every paycheck. I'm like, where the hell is the $100? It's like I got $100 raise and I only got $40 of it. Where the hell did it go?
Right.
It's about it's like, and even like at work we watch The Price is Right and the game show and everything. We listen to it on break, and it's like these people. People don't think about our $1,000. They have to pay $5,000 to the government like that. It's just like I'm like, even for a family member, it's like, oh, a family member gave you $10,000 or $15,000 just because they want to help you out. The government's going to tax you on that. It's a tax. I'm like it's like you make money and then the government's like, oh, okay, you made money, give me some.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like I just want to try to survive, and it's like, so I don't know if that you would consider that political or not, but it's just like it's about the one aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, in California, you have a lot. We don't have all those propositions and things like that in Minnesota that you have in California. It's almost like a different world.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. It is.
We're a big state geographically, but population-wise, we're not all that big.
And some of the other songs that I don't consider real political is one's called "Garbage In, Garbage Out." It's just about people. You have to realize to make a decision, you have to have the right information. If you got bad information, you're going to make a bad decision. So
Sure.
So it's not really political. Got to Change Your Tune on my first album. It's just I wrote that when my sons were young, and it's just like they always had bad attitudes. I'm like, yeah, just change your attitude. You got to change your attitude.
Oh, sure.
And then the song on the last album, Death Wish. This girl at work, This girl at work told me a story about when she was, teenager. Had a rough time, and she just wanted to go hitch rides on, these guys on motorcycles, and she said they'd been going on the freeway around corners at like 180 miles an hour, inches off the ground and everything. And so I said, oh, let's go on and write a song about that. So that's just like a fun story.
Sure.
So, and then I get a song called Animals. I don't know where that one came from. One day, I just came up with this melody in my head. And that's the lyrics, animals. It's like, animals, animals. I don't know what it's about. I don't know. I don't have an agenda. It's just like, it's a tune. You can say it's whatever you think about animals. You know, it's an anti-animal song. It's a pro-animal song. It's a anything. It's just. So yeah, I do have some for fun. And then another one. A couple guys that work are Spanish, of course, and a lot of people are Spanish, and they're always momento por favor. So we gotta say uno momento por favor. So I just like made a weird song out of that one.
Sure. Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I have lots of fun.
Yeah.
And some other stuff. I do have that other project, Gramps.doc, which is more a variety. Because when I was doing the Gramps.doc, as I kept going, the punk just kept coming more and more. And I'm like, well, I really don't want Gramps.doc to become a punk band. I want it to be a
Sure.
variety kind of thing. So that's when I said, well, I'll have a punk thing and like a variety thing. So then recently I changed the Gramps.doc. I kind of don't like it anymore. I'm calling it Today's Nightmare, which I've got like four songs completed. Four songs completed, and I got like two more when I have time not doing the punk stuff. The punk stuff just keeps rolling. I'm like, I gotta get back to that sometime, but it's just like life never lets me get to it. But I kind of keep the rock and regular stuff more for Today's Nightmare. So.
Oh, sure.
So there you go.
Cool.
All right. We talked a little bit about recording and stuff, but what about some of your equipment, and what are your favorite equipments to use, like guitars and amps and stuff like that?
You want to go, Matt?
Sure. Guitar-wise, I would say I'm mostly a Gibson guy. I've got my oldest one is a Les Paul Studio that survived a fire. Actually, my sister and I had an apartment together, and that there was a series of arsons in that hotel or that apartment complex. And so we recovered that one from the fire and actually refinished it ourselves. And Tom helped me replace the electronics in it. So that one ends up on everything we do at some point or another. But I've got another Les Paul, an SG, a Firebird. So those show up on there. Keyboards too. So I've got a Prophet 12, a Dave Smith kind of synth on that shows up on our stuff. An ARP, some piano, things like that. The harpsichord, or the harmonica rather, it shows up on some things. Trombone. I got a trombone from my uncle, so I learned how to play that last year and put a little of that on the album. So
cool.
Yeah. For me, I bought in 1995. I got my 8-string Rickenbacker bass, and that's sort of been that's my baby. I mean that really dictates a lot of the sound of the bottom end of the band, really. And we often have struggled with working the drums around that because it's so big. It's just such a huge bass sound. And then to kind of corral that and get the lower end of the guitars to work around that. But that's really my that's my baby. I love that thing. I've also got a Yamaha BB300 bass that I got when I was in high school. It was the first bass I ever got. And it's a Taiwanese one, but the only thing I ever did was I changed the tuning machines on it. And that was what I learned to play. I mean, I would come home from school and play that and play that and play that. When I was in high school, that was my best friend in high school. And it was the only bass I had until I got the 8-string. And we put that on this record. I put some tape wound strings on it, and it's on a song called The Violence of Love. And it does a great impression of a stand-up. So that's probably, those are my two favorite, those are the basses. Guitar-wise, I fall in and out of love with guitars. I'll buy them and use them for a while and then think, and then I'll move on. And then like relationships, you'll look back fondly 2 years later and go, why did I get rid of that one? What was wrong with that one? But I have a Gibson SG that I used on this record. I've got a couple Yamahas that I put different pickups in that I put on this record. And I have a vintage Swedish-made Hagstrom Viking, which is their semi-hollow. It's like an ES335 sort of that's on this, and those are good. I've got a Strat I absolutely adore, and I've got a Telecaster that does not twang. You cannot get it to twang, and I love that thing. It's so it sounds like a single coil Les Paul sort of, and I really like that. So yeah, you know, I guess Matt and I are kind of gearheads in a way. We tend to go, oh, I got this, or oh, I bought it. You know, for me, it's usually flanger pedals. Oh, I got another flanger pedal. At one point, I had like 12 flangers, and it was just ridiculous. And it wasn't 12 really good ones. It was, if I saw a flanger pedal for $35 or less, I bought the damn thing. You know, and then I kind of lost my mind. I still love them though. It's still my favorite effect. But you know, there's a couple other things. I've got a Keeley fuzz head that I think is a fantastic fuzzy overdrive that I put on a lot of things. I've got a Moog flanger that Allison, who did some second engineering on the record, bought me as a gift for my birthday, I think it was. No, it was when I got my job at Stratasys. It's the best sounding flanger I've ever heard. It's gorgeous. You can hear it on the song Strange But No Stranger. There's a breakdown and you can hear this flange guitar, and that's that flanger. It just sounds fantastic. So yeah, I mean, we got gear. You know, we got stuff we like, but really for me it's the 8-string bass that's the governor. That's the one, you know.
And amps.
Oh,
Ampeg?
For me, no, actually. My original, and I still have it, but it's too big to use. When I got my BB300, I got an acoustic 2x15 cabinet. It's a 106 cabinet with ports in it. It's two 15-inch speakers in it, and then it was the acoustic 140 head. And I love that really clear, really loud bass sound. I don't like a lot. I didn't really get into an overdriven sound until recently. I just like a clear sound. And so on this record, on the first record, I used an Ashdown, a 1x15 Ashdown combo that sounded really, really good. And on this one, I used one of the newer acoustic models, and you can say, yeah, they're made in China. It's not the same, but they actually, and they're not as durable, but they sound right. They're very clear, and what I did was I took a 30-watt 1x12 acoustic combo, and I had a ribbon microphone, and I stuck the microphone slightly closer to that one, and then I got a Carvin 100-watt 1x10 bass amp, and I dialed the Carvin in so it was all the mids, and I dialed the acoustic in so it was all the top and bottom. And I put the ribbon microphone between the two. I had the amps probably 4 feet apart, and I put it 2 feet away from the acoustic, and that was the sound. And then I used a DI. That was the sound of the record. And if I wanted overdrive, I bought an EBS Billy Sheehan deluxe pedal, and that was the sound of the overdrive. And then we just tailored that. And guitar amps, I've got a bunch of little ones, and I've got a non-reverb Princeton that's the clean sound, and then I've got a Vox 50-watt Night Train that goes into a 80s Marshall 4x10 cabinet. It's the 1965 cabinet, I think it's called, and that's sort of the loud guitar sound for me, and it works perfectly. Matt can talk about this stuff.
For me, for amps on this one, I've got that orange Micro Terror, actually, that Tom gave me for my birthday. And so that shows up on there. The orange, I've got an orange Crush too, that a little
30-watt, 35-watt?
Yeah, 35 watts, I think. A Fender Pro Junior, there's a 15-watt version of that I've got that I used on this. But a lot of it, actually, I used a Kemper. So I've got some modeled amps on this album. So there's some really good Marshall and Mesa Boogie models that I used through that Kemper, and got some great stuff out of that too. So that's mostly my guitar sound on this one.
Cool.
How about for you?
But,
What kind of
yeah,
equipment have you been
also
using?
I don't use any real amps anymore on my recordings. They're all sim.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It sounds really live. That's interesting. I thought that for Matt and I thought that was a nice combination of me using real amps and the real bass amp with the DI, and then him having the stuff in the box. But I really don't think you can tell. He played me some of the raw guitar tracks. When we were mixing, he'd solo the track and say, listen to this. And if you would have put a gun to my head, I would have guessed it was a Shure mic in front of a 2x12 cabinet. You'd never know.
Yeah,
They're so good now,
They're so good.
the amp sims are so good right now. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's because unless it's a full tube amp, your amplifiers are just software code. So I mean, it's just software code. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And if you're
got
using
that-
and if you're using a pedal, that's all it is. It's an IC chip in there that tells you all the sound, and it just replicates that on the computer. So
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
there's really no difference between the pedal and on the computer because
Right.
it's the same.
But
same
people
code.
get all wrapped around the axle about stuff like that. Oh, you got to move air, man. You got to put the mic in front of us. And I think we eventually came to the realization that if it sounds good, it is good, and that it didn't matter if the guitar was from the Zoom R8 or proper or tape or whatever. It just kind of no, that sounds perfect. That's going on the record,
And but I mean, what I really like is if you don't like it, I mean, I can change amps like that. It's like, oh, I want a different amp. Bam! You don't have to. Just like, hey.
It's amazing.
It's like
We actually did that with one of my tracks that I recorded from an amp, but we didn't have enough drive on it. And then Matt took that track and added a fuzz pedal or something to the track, and then we bumped up the overall distortion. So you can do both. You can take
We had the mic'd version and the DI version of your bass on every single thing, so I could kind of either blend between the two in the mix, or like on that one, just take it and reamp it essentially through the software.
Yeah. We did a lot of stuff like that. Or add an effect or something. But yeah, it's whatever works, man. That's sort of turned into our philosophy.
but live, I got my carbon here. Yep.
Yeah. I remember noticing that one of the first times. That was one of the first messages I think I responded to on Twitter. Was I saw that, I'm like, I always liked Carvins.
Yeah, I've had that since probably 80. I can look it up, but 83, 84, 85, something like that.
Yeah.
That's so bad. Sad that they're gone now.
I know. I almost all my pickups on my guitars, they're carbon pickups.
Yeah, I think I got one of their last 1x12 speaker cabinets. Actually, it's at Matt's right now. I bought that, and then they shut down operations later. And I've actually got another open back 2x12 carbon cabinet that I've got. It's their 2x12 mini with the open back that I put some old vintage Alnicos in. Some really crappy. They're not actually good old Alnicos. They're sort of second-rate ones, but they sound really good. So then, getting back to gear, what was the first good instrument you bought or you got as a gift, and do you still have it? If so, tell us about it. And if you don't, do you regret getting rid of it?
I think probably the first decent one I got was I kind of learned on an acoustic, which I rented, and then I think I bought the acoustic, and I have no idea what happened to that one. And then I got this cheap SG looking guitar. I wouldn't call that a good one either, but I guess the first good one I got was a PV.
Oh, sure.
It was a white one. It was solid body, but the shape was like a ES335 kind of shape-ish.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh yeah, like the T25 or T35 or something like that.
So maybe something like that. I don't remember what it was. That was like in. But yeah, I don't have that, and I don't regret getting rid of it. And then yeah, hey, he's back. I got his video back.
Oh, good.
I got Tom's video back. Awesome.
Victory!
And well, other instruments. As a kid, uh, my my parents said they got me one of those little play guitars when I was 2 or 3, and I would sit in. There was a child's gate, and I would sit there and strum yeah 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 with the guitar when I was
Oh, that's funny.
2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. So I guess I've always had music, and then in school you learn with the recorder. I still have a few recorders and use those once in a while. And the only one I regret though, when I was in the Air Force in South Dakota, there's a music store over there. A guy custom made a flying V for me. I ordered all the parts and
Oh,
he
wow.
painted it and got the ebony neck, got had him paint up the body and everything. Picked all my stuff and he wired it and everything. It was like custom made. But as custom made guitar, it didn't have. There wasn't a case for it, so
Oh,
I got one of those generic. I got one of those generic, cases, the flight cases. But the guitar was like this big, and the case was probably this big. and I had a Ford Granada when I was driving, and when I came over here, and the case was like from door to door. The door just barely shut. And I mean, it was just like.
yeah.
So every place I'd go to try out, I'd have this big case. I'm like, what the hell are you bringing? It's like this big. I go up flying V, and they were like, what the hell? But yeah, sometimes I regret that, but sometimes I don't. But I got plenty of other guitars that I'm happy with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The case was too big, and the flying V. So, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Not everybody can play the V.
Yeah,
It's a select instrument.
yeah, yeah. And then that's about it. All right, next question. All right.
What's that flying over them right now? It sounds like a jet overhead.
Oh yeah, they're right by the airport.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That makes recording fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Matt's on the flight path too for MSP. They go over his head pretty constantly.
yeah. Well, it only matters for vocals for me because everything else is.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So that's the only. So so how do you balance band duties like promotion and writing and getting? I don't know. Do you guys do any shows? I think Tom does most of the social media. I think.
Yeah, he does everything that requires someone to be friendly and talkative.
Yes, that's my job. I'm the friendly, talkative one. Well, it just since Matt does a lot of the mixing. Well, he does. I'm there for a lot of the mixes, but he has it all set up and does the pre-mixing and gets the mastering squared away and things like that. Then I kind of do the social media, the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram things, and am friendly with people.
Play to
But it works out well, I mean, it also has to do with our jobs. Matt, especially now, is a lot more. What would you say? He's working longer hours,
Yeah.
So I just have a little more free time and am just a little more we just divvy it up that way, I guess. You know, I don't think anybody. Well, you'd have to ask him when he's in the middle of mixing, but I don't think anybody feels like they're put upon. You know.
No.
So I think
Yeah.
I think it's our skill sets. We have similar complementary skill sets, and we just naturally gravitate.
Pretty nicely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Perfect.
And as far as live shows, you know, when we first started the Secret Weasels, after we ended that other band that we were in together, we did look for a drummer. And we used to regularly rehearse. We would be in Matt's, you know, he was in a different house at the time, but we'd be in his basement. We'd have the drum machine set up going through the PA, and we'd play. We'd sing our songs and rehearse them and get them down. And we were always trying to get a drummer, and it never worked out. And then there was a period where the Secret Weasels kind of went on hiatus, and Matt was doing some other stuff, and I got in another band. And this was around 99, 2000. And I think we just got to the point, well, I kind of did, where we'd play these local clubs, and it'd be Tuesday night, and we'd be on a 3-band bill, and we'd go on at midnight, and there'd be 25, 15 people, 20 people in a club the size of the Fine Line, which is one of the bigger clubs down in the Twin Cities. And it really became demoralizing to then schlep your gear home, get up at 6 and be to work at 7:30 the next morning to
Right.
no accolades. You know, it wasn't even hatred; it was just indifference. And I think I was scarred for life. But I think I probably more than Matt fantasize of a Secret Weasels gig at some point. But you know, it's a 50-50 vote, and if it isn't unanimous, it doesn't get done. So it's
Right.
fine.
It's someday. I just like recording a lot
Yeah.
more than I ever enjoyed performing live. So
Yeah, and I like performing, but I don't like performing that much more than I like recording. You know, I really I just like somebody else to be there. Matt doesn't mind working on his own so much. I get really bored and frustrated at doing stuff all by myself in my house. You know, I got to record 5 bass lines today. Which is why I really liked that our friend Allison came over. She was a music major in college. I believe she actually has perfect pitch. So she second engineered my vocals, my lead and backing vocals. And it was just so nice to have somebody on the talkback going, no, you didn't get it. Cause I'll happily sing things over and over again. I just like to have somebody in the room, or, to have a social interaction.
Right.
So that I got off on that, that was my performance. Somebody was there going, yep, you got it. Oh, good. Woohoo. So that was kind of, we'll do a gig at some point, I'm sure. I'll make Matt play live.
Yeah, I've thought of it, but I'm sure if I found the right people, I'd do it.
it's just a matter of so much time and investment in rehearsal and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think Matt and I kind of came to the conclusion that we were going to have to hire a drummer. That we weren't going to, that it wasn't going to be a 3-piece or a 4-piece band. It was him and I, and then it would be 2 people that we wanted around to sort of dictate things to. And we didn't really have, it was cheaper to buy, Pro Tool or Logic Pro and Studio One and work that out than it would be to hire somebody to play gigs,
Right.
because it's sort of the 2 of us,
Yeah.
Gee, I have more questions I wrote, but I really think you touched on, because you've been, there was the solo thing that you addressed. Let's see. Oh, and then, well, you also mentioned the bit about Grandpa Doc. So that was sort of your thing outside of the hardcore punk genre that you. So oh, well, okay, fine. We didn't address your material. So you put the new single out, you put your new song out, and before that you had the album Tyranny of the Few.
Right.
Are you going to do anything else? Are you going to just follow this up with more individual tracks, or are you recording things to do an EP or an LP or something?
Yeah, I'm. My plan is kind of to put stuff out more evenly instead of like a big long space in between. Having a whole album. So seriously, the single came out only because it was done and it filled the space in between the EPs. And I got a deal from CD Baby. It was like 50% off for a single or something. I'm like, oh, okay, 50%
Oh,
off.
sure. I actually saw that email. I mean, I know the
I'm
one you're
like, all
talking
right,
about.
I'll do it. I'll
Yeah.
go 50%. So I just put out the song I got done first, 12 years. And of course, I told you I got Bacon Time done. I got Give Me Some done, and I have 3 more that I'm working on. So, and I was recording vocal. I got the music done for another one last night about the New Puritans. Like, everybody has everybody. You have to do everything right now. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
you can't say
Oh,
this, you can't say that. You can't say this, you can't say that. You have to say this right, and you can't. It's like it's a new secular Puritanism. You have to like toe the line. It's like so
yeah.
that's kind of that one's about. But last night I was got the music pretty much done. I was because too what amazes me. I'm not a singer. I never could sing and play until when I was in society. And our last singer left, and then we're like, man, what are we gonna do? Interview singer? So we just all decided, we're just all gonna sing. He sings some
Sure.
songs, I sang. Sometimes even the old songs, like I can't sing that part, but he can sing that part. So he sang the verses, and one sang the choruses, and it's like, so I still can't sing and play a lot of the songs. So I couldn't even play them live. So I'm like,
Oh,
so I either have to sing or I have to play, or I have to hire a
yeah.
singer. So, or I'd have to be the singer. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
but last night, I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but I sit there and I'm writing the lyrics and I'm working on the music, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna go like this. It's gonna go like this. You know exactly how you're gonna sing it, and then you get up there and you're like, what? That's not how I thought it in my head. I'm like,
Yeah.
why? It's like I can think it in my head and voice it lowly. It's like I don't want to do da 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 da. Okay, yeah. And then you're like belting it out, and you're like, damn, why can't I sing it like that?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
but it's sometimes it's like I can't. Probably should come here in this room and just have the music and just practice singing it. But then what happens a lot of time too, sometimes is even when I'm recording it, I'll do a practice one. I'm like, all right, perfect. All right, let's record that one. I got it. And then you don't do it again. I'm like, oh, damn
Oh,
it.
yeah.
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 I should have recorded, but it was my practice. So I started doing I'm recording every freaking practice when I'm doing now. It's like in case.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
that's what I had Allison do when I was doing my vocals.
Yeah.
The button was always down. I mean, she put the track up in the cans, and I would say just record it in case anything anything good comes out of it, and then we'll go in and fix it. No, that's funny that you mentioned that about coming in and singing along. That was how I actually worked out the background vocals for my bits on this record. We had a pre-mixed disc without any backing vocals and just with Matt's leads, and driving to and from work, I just started singing along. I came up with the backing parts for the songs driving to and from work. And then when Allison came over to record them, I sat her down and said, listen, we'll put the album on now. I'm going to sing where I'm going to sing. So then she could take notes and know what it was that, where I would be singing and where we should come in and what we were going to do. And then she'd have a general idea of how things should sound. So that actually worked out really well, and that was the first time we'd ever done anything like that. On the first record, I think we just came up with the backing vocals mostly on the spot. It was just, all right, well, we got to do the backing vocals. All right, we'll sing them now. And there wasn't a lot of thought put into it,
Right.
Yeah,
but getting back, we've got this off track. My plan has been, my plan has been doing an EP and then an EP and then having enough stuff for another EP, but incorporating the 2 previous EPs on an album. So it's kind of more of, that's kind of what my plan is, my release plan. And then maybe if CD Baby has more sales, I'll do another single in between.
So you go through them, you go through CD Baby?
Yeah.
We went through DistroKid and had Atomic Discs print these up. We had a sale on these wallet fold thingies, and we thought, oh, that's a good deal. The art, they came out really good. Matt took the pictures of the art, but if you're thinking, Atomic Discs do a really nice job of printing. They have a good printer.
Yeah, for as many as I sell, I just do them myself.
Oh, okay.
I print
Probably should have done that.
I print them on photo paper on the covers, and
sure.
Oh, cool.
I get printable discs, and I print on the disc. So, because even the last Gramps.doc, I still have like probably 85, 90 CDs up to the 100. So I'm like, well, what the hell am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with?
Yeah, I predict a similar fate for Misophonia, but I know one of your questions was, what else do we do other than? I mean, I guess, are you done? Do we want to move on? Because this actually ties in nicely.
That's my last question. Your hobbies that aren't music related.
Yeah, we've made 3 movies. 2 is part of a local 48-hour film festival, and then 1 we just did on our own. And tying into that, we printed up for our movie Broken Cove. We printed up what, Matt? 200 posters.
Yeah, and distributed 4.
So I've got 150 Broken Cove posters in my basement, and I actually drive around in case I ever run into anybody who was somehow involved in the movie who we didn't give a poster to. I always have a flat of posters in my car. So if I run into, hey, did you get a Broken Cove poster? Well, you can have one. So yeah, I'm sure that the Misophonia CDs will have a similar fate, and I'll have 50 of these sitting in my basement till I die. So Matt can tell you about his other hobbies now.
I would say that's about it. Doing that filmmaking and photography, I like to do on the side too, and so that's been nice because the artist that has done both of our album covers is a friend of Tom's, and she does these paintings, and so I just photographed the paintings to turn them into the album art, and we did a sort of montage of them for the first album cover, and then just kind of one for this one. So
yeah, she painted 12 paintings for our first album, and then we composited that. And Matt's a really good photographer. He tends to get really deep into whatever he gets into, and he took proper photography lessons and has a really, really good camera and a good lighting rig. And so that's part of the reason everything looks so good. Outside of music, I have an old car. I have a 1968 Dodge Coronet that I bought in 2004 and did a driveline swap on it. I bought it in 2003 and did a driveline swap on it in 2004. So that's a good way to waste gas and pollute the environment. So I do that. I have a cabin on an island on a lake in the northern part of the state that when my dad died, my sister and I inherited it, and then I bought her out, so it's mine now. And so I try and go up there every other weekend in the summer, sometimes in the winter too, on snowmobiles, and that's kind of a fun thing. My dad's brothers and sisters have cabins on the same island that was a part of the original parcel of land that my grandpa bought and then divided up amongst his kids. So that kind of keeps the Enroth side of the family together. And what else? Well, it's music related. I put guitars together. I buy parts off Warmouth and off of places like that, and just put pickups and guitars, and buy crummy Yamahas and put different pickups in them. But it's music related, but it's a little different part of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I do a variety of different things. I'm into gardening right now.
I like your what just came up. Was it your orchids? What
Yeah, my orchids. Yeah, I've always had decent luck with Cymbidium orchids because they're all a little different. Cymbidium orchids and Oncidium orchids. I've never had any problems with those, but Cattleyas and Dendrobiums were really tough for me. So I kind of built this little mini greenhouse out of just PVC pipe. I put it together in a frame and just put some plastic around it. And I had these clear corrugated panels. Put them on top and in the front. And it seems to be working pretty good. And my father-in-law, he's always growing orchids. He's getting a little. He's 87 now, and it's getting a little much for him. So he's just letting them all die. So he just said, "If you want these, I'm just gonna let them die. So take them." So we're like, "Oh, I'll take them." So I took all those orchids. Took all those orchids and put them in my greenhouse, and I'm like, "Wow! I finally got a Cattleya orchid to bloom." Like, wow! So I was happy with that. And then the Dendrobiums were blooming. So I finally think I'm onto something.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, and then growing fruits, lots of strawberries are out now. The blueberries is blooming.
You have blueberries there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Peach tree is gonna be blooming soon, hopefully. This is like the second year, so hopefully this year I'll get some peaches.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we have where my cabin is. We actually have wild blueberries. The northeastern Minnesota, there are a lot of wild blueberries, and we have a couple of really nice wild stands of bushes on my part of my property. And my uncle Jerry, there's actually a big hill of them that he calls Blueberry Hill because there are so many wild blueberry plants up there. Yeah, so that's cool. You got blueberries. That's my personal favorite berry is the blueberry. I'm a little crazy about blueberries, actually. But we won't get into that. I mean, blueberry donuts, blueberry scones, blueberry what? I love blueberries. I just love them. Muffins.
Yeah. That's almost time for strawberries for me. I like strawberries and blueberries.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I actually have a raspberry bush in my yard that occasionally does have some raspberries on it. Not terribly. It's a tough balance down here between sun and rain.
Right.
If you get too much of one or not enough of the other or whatever, they don't come out quite right.
Right. And what else? I got so many different hobbies. Cooking. I like cooking. I'm a decent cook. I like baking. Everybody likes at work. They always look forward to my Christmas cookies. I always make 3 or 4 different kinds of Christmas. And they're always. And just got done making some zucchini bread. I love zucchini bread. My mom has a great recipe. And it's like making Chinese food. What other hobbies? I got so many hobbies. Yeah, I'm working on cars. Yard. Photography. A little bit.
Cool.
So, all right, I guess that's pretty much it, man. That was fun.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
I agree.
Good
It's
idea.
good to get to know more about, your online friends. It's usually such a strange thing. you know.
Yeah, oh, that's what my son said when they were in school. It was like really early in the social media, and he's like they were always scaring us. Don't meet anybody online. Don't go meet them, and you're gonna get kidnapped. And you're gonna get
Right.
scared
Well,
and everything. And then he's like everybody meets everybody online now. That's the only way to meet anybody.
oh yeah. Or like Uber, you know, never get in a car with a stranger. Now it's accepted. Now you just call Uber. You know, well, who's that guy? You know, you're gonna get in his car and he's gonna take you somewhere. Yeah. That sounds like a good way to get murdered. In the 80s, that sounded like a good way to get murdered. You know, every horror movie was like that. So yeah, go figure. Well, good. It was good. I enjoyed this. I hope you're able to edit this into something that people will want to watch. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And
Hope so.
let us know what you think about the album. You've written some really nice things on Twitter. Thank you. Thanks a million for it, man. We really appreciate it. And when you get it, yeah, let us know what you think. Like I said, you should be getting it on Monday, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
We'll
Cool.
watch for the new Today's Nightmare stuff too.
Yeah, that should be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the bacon
actually,
song.
if you
I want to
guys-
hear the bacon song. I'm very enthusiastic about the bacon song. That'll be fun. All right, man. Have a good Sunday. Take care. All right.
Okay, you too, man. I'll end the
All right.
recording now.
Bye.
Bye.